this was too much. I thought I could please her by wearing the dress, but she wasn't ever going to be satisfied. Then, without warning, she grabbed a lighter from her purse and held it near the hem of the dress.
If you won't respect our culture, maybe this will teach you.
Before I could react, the fabric of the dress caught fire. The flames spread quickly. I screamed, feeling the heat against my skin, the fabric scorching my legs. I panicked, flailing, trying to get out of the dress, but it was stuck.
I told you, you're not good enough. This wedding isn't happening, not on my watch.
She rushed out of the dressing room. I started to scream for help, and soon the door burst open, and David rushed in with several others. They pulled the dress off of me, quickly dousing the flames. I didn't even care that I was half naked at that moment. I was just relieved to be alive and to have escaped. I always believed people were people, good or bad, kind or cruel, regardless of the color of their skin. I'd never had a reason to think otherwise. Some of the kindest people I knew growing up were black. So when I fell in love with a black man named David, it wasn't about his skin color, it was about his heart. You see, David initially came to the USA with his mom when he was barely 2 years old. He was well brought up, the way he spoke to me, the way he respected me, the way he made me feel like I was the only person in the world. Everything was perfect until I met his mother. Her name was Mrs. Janet. She didn't smile when David introduced me. Her eyes swept over me coldly, calculating, as if I were something unpleasant she found on her doorstep.
Mom, this is Lily, the woman I told you about.
That was it. Not hello, not nice to meet you. Just a cold, dismissive hum and a stare that sliced through my confidence. David tried to smooth things over, pretending not to notice. But I noticed. From that very moment, she hated me. And she didn't hide it. During dinner, she kept correcting the way I spoke.
You have to wait for me and my son to eat before you do. Don't they teach manners where you're from? Are you only thought to speak through your ugly nose?
She made passive-aggressive comments like I was some sort of disease David had caught.
I just don't get it. With all the beautiful black women out there, this is what you bring home?
David would shift uncomfortably, but he wouldn't say anything. He looked like a little boy again, too afraid to stand up to his mother. And I tried. I really tried. I brought flowers when we visited. I complimented her cooking. I offered to help clean up. But nothing melted that wall of ice she'd built around her. She'd throw away the food I brought. If I brought a dish to a family dinner, she'd forget to serve it. Once, she took a pie I baked and dumped it in the trash right in front of me.
Oh, please, nobody eats raisin pie here.
It wasn't even raisin, it was an apple pie. She'd whisper to David when she thought I couldn't hear.
You better think long and hard, son. That girl's not your kind. You know it. I know it. Don't shame this family.
When David proposed to me, she didn't say congratulations. She didn't even call. She didn't show up to our engagement dinner even though she was invited. Instead, she called David's aunt and told her I must have gotten pregnant to trap him. I wasn't pregnant, and she knew that. But lies were easier than accepting the truth, that her son loved me. She went around telling anyone who would listen that I was trying to erase his culture, that I didn't understand his world.
She can't cook spicy food, doesn't even know what okra is. What's she gonna teach her kids?
I wanted to scream and cry. I hadn't done anything to this woman but love her son, but she made it her mission to break me. She told me once to my face,
Don't think for a second that ring means your family. I'll never call you my daughter-in-law. You'll never be good enough.
And she meant every word. She'd bring up her best friend's daughter, Tamika, every chance she got. Tamika this, Tamika that. How educated Tamika was, how beautiful Tamika looked in her church dress, how well Tamika cooked Southern meals. I got the hint.
You know Tamika always had a thing for David. They'd have made such beautiful black kids.
Every visit felt like walking through fire. Her looks, her words, her tone. She'd go out of her way to leave me out of family photos, to ignore me during conversations, to serve everyone at the table but me. David saw it, but all he ever said was,
Just give her time, babe. She'll come around.
But she never did. She didn't want time. She wanted me gone. Her hatred was so bad to the extent of storming my house one day to fight with me. She intentionally slapped me repeatedly, knowing her hand would mark my face. When David saw it, he was furious. He took me to her house and made her apologize to me or face the consequence of losing him as her son. She was scared, so she quickly apologized to me. But I knew it wouldn't end that way. Regardless, David and I finally set a wedding date after 3 months of our engagement. We were excited. The planning was hectic, but we were ready. For a while, I felt like everything was finally falling into place. But I should have known that Mrs. Janet would never let us have our happiness without trying to destroy it. One afternoon, a week before the wedding, I was alone at home when she came to my house again. I asked her what she wanted, and she immediately launched into a tirade about the wedding.
You think you're going to marry my son in some ridiculous dress that's not even our culture? You're wrong, girl. I won't let you disgrace my family like this. You will wear this.
She pulled out the most hideous wedding dress I had ever seen. It was a sickly shade of yellow, with layers upon layers of frills and sequins, the kind of thing no one in their right mind would ever wear, especially not on their wedding day. Yet she was forcing this on me.
This is the dress you're wearing. It's our culture. You don't have a choice.
David wasn't there, but I knew this wasn't his idea. He hated this kind of thing. For a moment, I thought about refusing, but I couldn't. I was still trying so hard to make her accept me, even though it clearly wasn't working. I didn't want to fight anymore. So, reluctantly, I agreed. I told her I'd wear the dress, thinking maybe if I just did this, she'd finally stop interfering. But deep down, I knew I was only digging my own grave. The day of the wedding arrived, and the whole atmosphere was tense. David hated that I was wearing the awful dress, but he didn't push me on it. He just gave me a sad look, like he wished he could protect me from everything, from his mother's hatred and her control. But when Mrs. Janet saw me in the dress, she looked even angrier. Honestly, the dress wasn't pretty, but I had the type of body that made even ugly dresses look manageable. I could tell Mrs. James wasn't pleased by that.
You think you can take my son from his roots? You think you're good enough for him? This dress looks ridiculous on you. It doesn't fit our culture. It makes you look like a fool with that skinny and pale body of yours.
She started pulling at the dress as though she were trying to tear it off me, but I stood my ground. I didn't want to make a scene, but this was too much. I thought I could please her by wearing the dress, but she wasn't ever going to be satisfied. Then, without warning, she grabbed a lighter from her purse and held it near the hem of the dress.
If you won't respect our culture, maybe this will teach you.
Before I could react, the fabric of the dress caught fire. The flames spread quickly. I screamed, feeling the heat against my skin, the fabric scorching my legs. I panicked, flailing, trying to get out of the dress, but it was stuck.
I told you, you're not good enough. This wedding isn't happening, not on my watch.
She rushed out of the dressing room. I started to scream for help, and soon the door burst open, and David rushed in with several others. They pulled the dress off of me, quickly dousing the flames. I didn't even care that I was half naked at that moment. I was just relieved to be alive and to have escaped.
Lily, what the hell happened? How didn't your dress start burning?
I couldn't give him an answer. I didn't want to admit that his own mother had done that to me. But he saw the rage in my eyes, and he immediately knew who was responsible. I was shaken, but somehow I managed to put on my backup wedding dress. It wasn't what I had dreamed of, but it was still better than the one Mrs. Janet forced on me. The wedding was already ruined, but I refused to let Mrs. Janet's cruelty destroy everything. The ceremony continued. I walked down the aisle in the dress I'd chosen, surrounded by my friends and the people who truly cared for me. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew it wasn't over. I needed to get back at my mother-in-law. Karma brought my revenge to me before I could even make any move. One day, while David and I were asleep, we heard the front door opening. We both immediately sprang up to go and see who was breaking into our house. We were shocked to see David's mother sneaking in. When David called her name, she screamed and flinched. Just as she flinched, she slipped and fell on the floor. A small bottle she held also fell and broke. She screamed as the content of the bottle burned her whole right hand. We immediately knew it was acid. David called the ambulance while I pretended to be worried, even though I was so excited. The next day at the hospital, with the whole family present, Mrs. Janet confessed her sins. Everyone was shocked when they realized she was behind my wedding dress getting burned on my wedding day. The family insulted her, calling her a bad woman. She cried and begged, but no one pitied her.
Lily, I'm sorry. I've been terrible. I should have accepted you both. I should have supported you, not torn you apart. I don't know what came over me.
I don't want to hear it, Mom. Not now. You've done enough. You almost destroyed my marriage. You hurt Lily, and you hurt me. You've tried to control everything in my life. But I've had enough. Hell, you'd have poured the acid on Lily if you didn't fall. I don't want you in our lives anymore.
Please, David, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. I'm sorry. Forgive me, please.
Sorry? Would have apologized if Lily was the one lying on this bed? You'd have been jubilating. How could you attempt to set her on fire and still try to pour acid on her? You're so evil, Mom. I'm disowning you. I can't be a part of your toxic behavior anymore, and I can't put my wife at risk of getting killed by you.
David apologized to me after we left the hospital. He refused to see Mrs. Janet after that day and didn't even pay her hospital bills. Her family members reluctantly paid it because even though they hated her for her behavior, they couldn't leave her to die. She stayed at the hospital until David and I relocated to a different country to start our lives. I heard that Mrs. Janet's burnt arm became a huge disability for her. David stopped sending her money, so feeding was difficult for her. She managed to survive 2 more years battling high blood pressure and others. When she died, David only mourned her because she birthed him. He refused to attend her funeral, or even accept to know where she was buried. As for me, I prayed for 3 days straight for her to go to hell. And guess what? Just 3 days later, I had a dream. She was being tortured by devils in hell. I woke up from that dream smiling, but I never had the guts to tell David. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.